The contents of a jar can't see what's on the label. Have you heard that quote before? I think it's fantastic. It's from Blair Enns, and I think it perfectly sums up why trying to figure out a career change on your own is near impossible. But before I get more into that, I'd love to introduce myself. I'm Anna Black, a career counsellor and consultant, and I work with mid-career professionals, so people who've already been in their career for 10, 15, maybe even 20 years, but they're feeling stuck and dissatisfied with what they're currently doing, and they know they don't want to continue doing that for the rest of their careers. I mean, let's face it, that could easily be another 20, 25 plus years. They know they want to do something different, but they don't know what to do. And that's what I help them with. I support them through exploring what's important to them and helping them find a new career path that they feel excited about and confident to pursue. I do this through my program, which is called Define Your Future, which combines a structured process, giving you the bite-sized steps of how to work through figuring out what to do in your career, with my personalized expert support. So let's go back to that topic. The contents of a jar can't see what's on the label. What I'm talking about today is all the ways that a career counsellor can support you in this journey of finding a new career path. And I want to touch on 3 different points on this topic. So that quote about the jar, what that's saying is essentially it's really difficult to see ourselves objectively. We tend to undervalue our skills. We think everyone can do that. We think, obviously, everyone would be interested in this particular topic. Why wouldn't they be? But it's not true. And I've got a couple of examples of personal examples of when I've experienced these things. So one was that when I was back in my mining career, and I was at a team building event, and we were asked to go through a series of 4 personality type cards, read through the cards, choose the one that we felt best fit us, and then go to one of the 4 corners of the room that was designated for that personality type. I did as I was instructed. I read through the card, I went off to the corner, and out of a group of around 70 people, mostly geologists doing similar roles to what I was doing at the time, being a geophysicist. But I found myself in a corner with 3 other people. There was me, the HR guy, and 2 other geos who were looking about as bemused as I was. We'd chosen the people type personality card, the personality type that values supporting and helping others, that enjoy mentoring and teaching, those people-focused roles. And that was a real light bulb moment for me. Until that point, I hadn't realized that not everyone was like that. The other geos, the other technical people, were in the analytical corner, or the doer corner, the get stuff done corner. And there I was with the HR guy and these 2 other people-focused geos in the corner. Another example that brought this to light was when I personally was asked the question, when you walk into a bookshop, what books are you drawn to? Which section do you go to first? And I said, well, I'm interested in psychology, and I read about personal development and careers and these sorts of things, interpersonal skills, emotional intelligence. And it was only then that I reflected on that and thought, actually, probably not everyone does that. I thought that was a fascinating subject, so I assumed that everybody else did too. And that's what I mean. So if you can't see yourself objectively, then it's very, very difficult to identify your strengths, your interests, your priorities, your preferences that are going to make you individual, that will help you to identify what the best career path is going to be. Like, how are you going to figure out what's going to be most satisfying, what's going to be the best fit for you, if you can't identify the pieces of the puzzle that build up this picture of you as a unique set of priorities and preferences? So that's the first point I wanted to take you through. They're really interesting. Another really important point is that as a career counsellor, as an independent and external view of you, I can also see shifts in your energy when you talk about different subjects. So if I'm asking a question about what were your favorite subjects in school, what did you do when you were a teenager, did you have any hobbies, like what would you do if you didn't need to worry about money? Often these ideas will come up that, oh, well, actually, I had an interest in this, or I really always loved reading about botany, or I had a fascination for sport and how people get really good at doing a particular thing. All sorts of different subjects that people are interested in. And as an external perspective, I can reflect back, well, that's really interesting. When you talk about that, your energy picks up, your face lights up, you smile. It's really noticeable. The other thing I can pick up on is recurring themes as well as we talk in a career counselling situation. Those things that are most important to you, that you're most engaged in, tend to pop up multiple times through the conversation, and you're unlikely to notice that, but I will. So there are a few key things as an external party I can see that you can't. Hence the quote around the jar and the label. The second point I wanted to make was around holding space for people. So as a career counsellor, and this is a very rare thing these days, part of my job is simply giving people the space, the time, the attention to explore and just simply listen to their own thoughts, their own ideas, what they might have been interested in earlier in their career. What's that niggling idea in the back of their mind? Maybe they'd really love to open a cafe. Maybe they'd really love to write a novel. These things can pop up, and giving them space to breathe, giving them some oxygen. Let's explore that. Let's see if that can grow into something bigger and something that you really could realistically bring into your life. So I help people to revisit those forgotten interests or passions, explore that career idea that you had perhaps when you were a teenager. And I've got a great example of this. So I have a past client who, when he was younger, had this dream of being a firefighter. He wanted to be a fireman. And his grandfather was a fireman. And he always thought, wow, this would be a fabulous thing to do. Now, I was working with him when he was in his 30s, already had kids, and training as a firefighter and making that shift at that time, given the training involved and then the posting that happens after you qualify, it just wasn't practical for him and his family. But what we did was we explored what was it about being a firefighter that really appealed to him. And it turns out when we explored that, there were these deeper motivations of service to the community, being outdoors, protecting people. There was a really strong theme of being of service and the physical nature of the work. And when we explored that further, we found other ways that he could get that into his work. And he now works for the local council in a community security role, which is ticking the boxes for him. He's also joined the Army Reserves, which is really physically challenging and giving him the satisfaction around some of those other aspects of being of service and being physical and being outdoors as well. These ideas, these insights, these seedlings of possibility need support. They need to be given space to breathe and to see what they could potentially grow into. These things are quite fragile. They can easily be crushed by perhaps your parents, by societal expectations, by dodgy information that you might read when you're at school or going through your early career choices. And often just one seemingly throwaway comment or someone just dismissing what you might be interested in as impractical or not a great idea or not secure is enough to make us put that aside and go in a different direction. A large part of the work that I do is talking through those beliefs and where they've come from, and how can we peel back those incorrect assumptions or those opinions that may have damaged how we think about these ideas. How can we peel those back and see whether these ideas are worth exploring? The last point I wanted to make, the value of an external point of view, a career counsellor, someone with the expertise, is new ways to explore what your preferences are. So you might love analysing data, or you might love talking to people or mentoring, and you might be interested in different fields such as the climate or energy space or health. And there are lots of different ways that you can combine these preferences together for different potential career paths. And often what will happen is I work with a lot of technical people who are far more people focused than their careers are. So what that means is they want to shift to a role where they can be of service, they can help people, but they can't see a way of doing that without leaving their technical profession behind and doing something completely different. And I've got a great example of this at the moment, a client that I'm working with who is very senior in a commercial and finance role in the oil and gas industry. And he's very passionate about health and leading and mentoring and supporting people. And he's really struggling with this transition, this sort of, how do I transition from a very technical field and very numbers, finance based field to something that is more people focused, more meaningful, with purpose. And so we've explored some of these things, and we're just starting to scratch the surface now with this work. But I've already identified a couple of things for him that have got him thinking about new perspectives and new ways of combining these interests. So, for example, there's a clean energy. He's worked in the clean energy space and he has got experience in that. And there's a clean energy skills centre of excellence, government department here in Perth. And that is a perfect example of a potential people angle. So developing the skills to meet the needs of the shifting industry in energy, but still leveraging his technical background and all of that wealth of experience that he already has. So that's just one example. We've also talked about perhaps shifting into the health space, but using the skills that he has, maybe the finance or some of those more strategic skills, but shifting into a different industry. There's so much value in the skills, experience, knowledge that he's already built up. And there are many options for how he could potentially transfer to different industries, to different types of roles, and tick those boxes of both the people focus, but also bringing his skills and experience across so that he can operate at a senior level and isn't thinking about, if I, want to go work with people and help people and mentor people, maybe I have to retrain and be a teacher or something like that. So there are lots of different ways you can combine your preferences, and this is my area of expertise. This is what I do. I've worked through this process with over 270 people, and I can see the patterns in people's interests and these possibilities that come through when I talk through, well, what are your areas of interest and what's your unique combination of preferences and priorities that we can package together into a new and exciting path for you. So I hope that's opened your eyes to some of those ways that a career counsellor can help. Getting that external view can really be a huge boost and support, and really be the difference between figuring out the new direction and finding the satisfaction in your career and staying stuck where you are right now. And I speak from experience there. I was stuck and unhappy and dissatisfied in my career for around 7 years. And I personally went to work with a career counsellor, and a little bit ironically, I came out of that process knowing that that's what I wanted to do, that I wanted to help other people to achieve that and find the careers that really light them up. If it has resonated, I really want you to know that now is actually the perfect time to reflect, rethink your career, and find a new direction for 2026. So we're heading into October right now. You've got a couple of months, a window of opportunity to really do this thinking, get yourself on track, and set yourself up to do something new that aligns with your preferences, that's really going to energize you in the new year. You know what happens as we get closer to Christmas. Those work deadlines come in, the social calendar gets a little bit crazy. So if this is something that you're committed to doing in 2026, reach out to me or take a look at the link below this video, because I'm running a new free masterclass on October the 27th. I would absolutely love to have you join me. I'll see you next time.